What's going on, baseball fans? Jeremy Laracuente here for the Baseball Banter Broadcast. And on this broadcast, we are going to be bantering about the 2023 San Diego Padres. Now, before I get into it, there's a corresponding article on laracuenteledger.com that goes over in detail everything we're about to discuss on this video. So if you want to check that out, links are in the show notes below. And we're going to begin with the major acquisition. Now, when we look at the Padres and their acquisition, Xander Bogaerts is that player. I think that when you look at what this means for San Diego, this is now a big market squad that is really investing in their long-term future. I think that when you look at what they've been able to do with the signing of Fernando Tatis Jr. once he returns, this signing of Bogaerts, the signing of Manny Machado to an extension, this is a team that is being built, building the foundation for years to come. I think that this is going to be the new head of this division within the next 2 to 3 seasons. I think that highly of the moves that the Padres have been making in their front office has really put together a very good squad. The addition of Bogaerts, a guy who's going to be consistent at the plate, is really a big time addition. I think that there was a lot of swing and miss on this squad, but being able to bring a guy like Bogaerts in to be a bit more consistent in the lineup, to be a guy who's going to look to hit for that 300 batting average or better, is really going to be a guy that influences the rest of the lineup. As we look at these significant injuries, obviously Fernando Tatis Jr. is the player that we're concerned with. Yes, we know that he is said to be fully healthy and ready to go, but after missing an entire season between injuries as well as a PED suspension, you really have to question what exactly are you going to get from Tatis Jr. I think that for this spring training season, as we know he's going to miss the first few weeks of the regular season, it's going to be interesting to see how everything kind of shakes out over the final few days of spring training. So for the Padres, I think that it's important to see what he has and where he is physically, mentally, emotionally. And I think that the moves that they've made by bringing in guys like Bogaerts, guys like Nelson Cruz, are really going to be able to help a player like Fernando Tatis Jr. really get himself into a good headspace, a good position, and really help the Padres aim for the top of the National League West. Now, as we look at the top prospect, Jackson Merrill, a shortstop, is the number one guy in the system for the San Diego Padres. It's been very interesting to me how the Padres have been able to go about their business over the last several years. We know that they have signed Manny Machado. They now have re-signed him to an extension. They signed Fernando Tatis Jr. to a long-term extension, and they now have signed Xander Bogaerts to such an extension. The question now becomes, what are the Padres' intentions for Jackson Merrill? I think that while he wasn't going to be anywhere near the major leagues this season, he has looked very good in spring training, and I think that there's a lot to really like about this prospect. Now, the question is going to be is that with all of these long-term commitments in the infield for the San Diego Padres, where exactly will Jackson Merrill fit? To me, this is going to be a player who absolutely will grow and move into a more predominant position in this organization. They may move him to second base, where they don't necessarily have a long-term commitment right now, but long-term, this is going to be a guy who could very much impact the San Diego Padres organization long-term. As we get into the bold prediction, I believe that Manny Machado will win the National League Most Valuable Player. Manny is a dynamic player, and I think that there's an opportunity that he could truly go off for a major season in 2023. We saw him be the runner-up in the 2022 National League MVP race behind Paul Goldschmidt. I think that 2023 is going to be the year that Manny really puts himself on a different hemisphere for this San Diego Padres team. I think that he's really going to go in, play hard. He's going to be a mentor to Fernando Tatis Jr., who I think is going to get into a better headspace now with the rest of the team that's kind of been formed around him. I also believe that Manny's going to go in with a chip on his shoulder, proving to the world that he is as good as he claims to be, and he will absolutely go off on a tangent as he's going more mature, being able to kind of grow into his statistical abilities, his projections, and I think that we're now starting to get into the prime of Manny Machado, so it's going to be a very dangerous season for those players and pitchers that are going against him. As we look at the divisional ranking prediction, I do believe that the San Diego Padres are going to finish second. In our corresponding article and video here on the Baseball Banter Broadcast and our article on laracuenteledger.com, we said that the Padres were going to finish in second place simply because of the level of depth that the Dodgers have. I think that San Diego has really started to put the pedal to the metal and really close the gap with the Dodgers for this National League West division. I think that for the 2023 season, it's going to be a bit more of a arduous and more of a battle, a grind all season long. But I think that they're just going to miss out on the division, but they're definitely going to make that wild card spot. Now, when it comes to grading out the pitching staff, it is a B minus. I think that this is a above average starting pitching staff as well as a bullpen. I think that there's going to be spots here and there throughout the course of the year where the pitching is going to fail for the San Diego Padres. But I think that overall, and for the most part, the depth that they have now built up in that starting rotation is really going to be able to help them push forward long term. I think that for San Diego, this is going to be one of their better assets in terms of their organization right now in 2023. I also think that that depth is going to help them in dealing with the team like the Dodgers that, in my opinion, are ahead of them. This is going to be an opportunity where they're really going to close that gap, and to say that the Dodgers are significantly better is no longer a factual statement. I think that there is going to be a ton of battle. The Padres very easily, in my opinion, could run away with this division because I think that highly of their talents on their roster. But when it comes to their pitching staff, I think that they are above average, but a little bit more can be done to bolster that bullpen. Now, when it comes to grading out the offense, for me, it is an A minus grade. I think that there's a very good chance that this offense could be arguably the best in all of Major League Baseball. I think that there's an opportunity that the Padres could really solidify themselves as a legitimate World Series favorite, not just a contender. When you look at this lineup with guys like Fernando Tatis Jr. that are going to be coming back, with the Xander Bogaerts, with the Manny Machados, I think that there's a lot to like about this opportunity for this roster. I think that there are some spots to be able to improve. I think that you do have to figure out what you're going to do and what you're going to have with Juan Soto, whether you're going to try to sign him long-term to another big money deal that is going to be on the books for a very long time for the Padres, or are you going to start to try to build up some of these other prospects or even potentially trade for a player to be your insurance policy against Juan Soto walking in free agency. To me, this offense is really going to stack up very well against every other lineup in all of Major League Baseball. To me, it's going to be one of the best lineups, but there are going to still be spots and questions. Guys that are going to kind of be filling out the edges of this roster are going to be question marks. But overall, I think that for the Padres, this is a very, very good offense. Now, as we grade out the offseason, it is a B+ grade. I think that the Padres did quite a bit this offseason to really help themselves and try to close that gap with the Dodgers. I think that they built up some depth. I think the Xander Bogaerts signing is a very good move for them. While to me, it's a bit of an overpay, I do think that it was necessary to be able to really solidify this lineup that they're going to be putting out in 2023. I think that for the Padres, being able to have a guy like Bogaerts in that lineup is really going to help kind of change the mindset of the organization, change the mindset of the lineup and the way that they attack and approach things on a nightly basis. So to me, it's a very above average offseason for the San Diego Padres. Now, when it comes to grading out the franchise, it's an A-. I think that this is going to be one of the best franchises in all of Major League Baseball in 2023. I think that there's genuinely an opportunity and a potential for this team to be able to make it to the World Series. That's how much I believe in the talent that they have on this roster, both on the pitching side of things and more so on the offensive side of things. This is a legitimate team with postseason aspirations and contention ability. I also think that with the way we've seen the front office operate, that they're not afraid to go for it. Now, how much they have left in the tank, in the prospect tank, to be able to trade away if necessary, we'll have to wait and see how that all plays out and shakes out. But I do believe that this team is going to be a team that very much is going after it in 2023. So I want to hear from you. Padres fans, let me know how you're feeling, what your thoughts are on your teams and their chances in 2023. Let me know these feelings down in the comments or find me over on Twitter at banter_baseball, where we can keep the conversation rolling. If you want to find us more on social media, you can do so on Instagram and TikTok at the Baseball Banter Broadcast. Again, there's a corresponding article on this video up on laracuenteledger.com. Links are down in the show notes below if you want to check that out, as well as the many other genres that we cover, mostly covering the world of Major League Baseball, but we do cover some other things on laracuenteledger.com. And if you want to show more support even beyond that, head over to Baseball Banter Broadcast. That is our merchandise shop. And in there, you can use the promo codes that we have running on the top of the banner of the site to be able to save on your banter merchandise. So I want to thank you for tuning in. If you're watching this on YouTube, you know the deal. Hit the subscribe and the bell for post notifications, as most of our audience is not yet subscribed to the channel. So it does a huge service as we try to grow this baseball community. If you're listening to this on your favorite podcast listening platform, thank you. Leave a 5-star rating and review, because it does a huge service as we continue to try to grow this community. So I want to thank you once again for tuning in, and I will catch you guys on the next broadcast when we banter about baseball. Peace.